Welcome to the 10th community call at Covalent. It has been like a crazy February month. Yeah, this is Prateek. I lead marketing and growth at Covalent, and we have like a bunch of our team members here as well to kind of talk about what has happened in this month. And we also have Daniel from Steakfish, who will be talking about the Steakfish as a product and what they do, and how they're going to be helping us with their integration. So without further ado, let me hand over it to Ganesh. And yeah, take it away, Ganesh.
Thanks, Prateek. So one of the challenges that we've had is a bunch of us went to eat Denver last week, and most of us got sick. And if the throats are a little scratchy, our apologies. So we have our esteemed guest here, Daniel. Hey, Daniel, it's been a while. Hoping to see you at Eat Denver, but couldn't make that happen. So let's start with the top agenda items for this community call. So number one is our shipping cadence. And as you guys all realize that we have this custom background wallpaper for every community call, and that is just to celebrate what we've shipped recently. If Brandon is on the call, would love to get a brief overview of what we've shipped with the ebook and why this matters to the space.
Yeah, I'm here. Unfortunately, my video doesn't work, but that's fine. So we shipped this 80-page ebook with a lot of coordination from outside partners as well. So we got the forward from Sandeep at Polygon and a bunch of different quotes in there. So it's had great reception. But really, why this book's important is because it's the first big dive into the data on blockchain games and play to earn in general. So we didn't look too much at theory. Other people have covered that in great detail, and it's great reading, but we did dive deep into reach, retention, and revenue for the top games on the top chains. So we scanned billions of rows of data, aggregated them, analyzed them, and digested it in this book. So it's had great reception so far and good feedback. So yeah.
Yeah, pretty amazing work. It was a lot of work. What I'm particularly excited about is you probably realized that yesterday FTX announced that they're creating a gaming division. So a lot of the Web2 companies are coming to Web3, but in the Web3 space, it's not free to play, or it's not the shareware style games that we had a long time ago on PlayStation. It's free to earn. And this is a new mechanism that's not well understood. Like, how would someone, a CFO of a AAA studio who manages $100 million on their P&L, how would they translate that to an opportunity in the free to play? So this ebook answers a lot of those critical questions. So I'm pretty excited for this. This is just the start of what we can do in the space. So please give it a look. Go to our blog. The book is available. I think it's an amazing experience for everyone. The second agenda item, which is when staking. So this is a critical component of the Covalent network. Fret not, we have a dedicated team building and working towards this, and should be very exciting when it comes out. So let's get Niall to share some thoughts on where we are with the staking program.
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone. So on the product side, we are launching the internal testnet at the moment. And the aim here is to get our team producing block specimens, uploading the production proofs to our storage. And from here, then we'll onboard the initial set of validators, beginning with Chorus 1, and then gradually ramp up this number as we begin to stress test the network. And then on the front end, the staking dashboard, which you guys will be interacting with when staking is live, has completely been designed and created. So it's really just a matter of actually getting this testnet done and then moving on to mainnet. And then, so on the marketing side then, what is next to be released prior to staking going live? And by the way, we can expect staking to go live at the beginning of April. What is next? What can we expect prior to that actually going live? And we will be releasing the network documentation on our knowledge base in about 2 weeks' time. and what content will actually live on this repo is just more information about the network itself. So like guides to how to stake when staking does go live, more information about the network operators, and just general information about the network itself. So it's going to be the one-stop shop for everything about the Covalent network. And as the network is developed, we can expect more content to be added to this repo, and hopefully get the community actually contributing to this content as well. So that is the update on the network side.
Amazing, thank you. So the audits have been kicked off for a second round of audits, is that right?
Yeah, sorry, completely skipped my mind. So there was an upgrade made on the staking contract, so we're actually going through another set of audits to be completed. So QuantStamp are coming on board to do another audit, and then we're in touch with a few other auditors to get that staking contract examined and made sure it's super secure for you guys.
Why are audits so important for our contracts?
Because we're dealing with our community funds. You're trusting us. We're pushing out a product, and you're trusting us to make sure it's secure, and that is paramount in this space when you're trusting a piece of code to handle your funds. So that's where they're important. And audits, because you're dealing with code, loopholes and bugs can be expected in any form of code, and audits mitigate the risk against such bugs being found. So that's why they are super important.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, there's quite a bit of custodial and security risk when we move CQT to the settlement chain. So this is public knowledge that we are going to be launching the Covalent network on Moonbeam, and Moonbeam is live. What are we doing to mitigate that risk?
We're gonna educate you guys on actually how to move your CQT, let's say to Moonbeam, for example, and make sure you're using the correct resources. So let's say you want to use a bridge, you can come to us directly, either in a Discord or Telegram, reach out to any of us, and we'll make sure you're actually using the correct resources to make sure you're not using some faulty domain that might be a fraudulent, that might be an attacker or something like that. But ultimately, when it comes to actually mitigating against these kind of risks, it's all about educating the community on how to do it properly. And we will be holding your hand throughout this entire process with how to actually get your CQT onto Moonbeam, for example, how to stake your CQT and whatnot.
Amazing, thank you. Okay, so the next agenda item is DevRel. The whole point of going to ETH Denver was to connect with the developer community. ETH Denver is quite important to us because when we went to ETH Denver 2 years ago, you guys can watch that video that's on our blog. We were just 3 people, and today, we're a fully fleshed out product. We have 55, 60 people on the team. We have thousands of devs. Back then, I think we were pre-revenue and pre-product in the sense that we didn't really have any meaningful traction. A bunch of toys being played here and there. So it's quite the run over the past 2 years. So it's amazing to go back and reconnect with the developer community. It's our first event that we've ever done in the past 2 years. We've never really attended events. We've just been heads down building the past year. And so maybe Harish, if he's on the call, can give us some highlights on what has happened with the projects that were built. From my understanding, there were a lot of projects. One of the most used protocols on at ETH Denver. So maybe some highlights from the trip, that what we saw from devs.
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully my voice carries through here. Yeah, I think for this being my first ETH Denver, I think a couple of takeaways here that sort of took me a little bit by surprise. One, just how many people are actually using our API, folks that we're not even necessarily aware of their project using us. I think the highlight for me was this 50-year-old man who came up towards the end of the conference and said, Harish, I don't need anything, but I just want to say thanks for your company's API. I use it in analyst mode. It's the only way I can do on-chain analysis, and it's great. So I think that was quite, just one of many stories that I took away in terms of people actually getting value out of the API. They did also talk about, some of the some of the challenges, some of the features, or what they'd like to see as an improvement. All of it being really good feedback for us to take away. In terms of the actual Denver Hackathon, so we had about I think almost 15 projects building with Covalent. The 2 out of the top 30 finalists of the entire hackathon ended up using the Covalent API 1 actually for DAOs, building out trust scores and an analytics dashboard, and the second being this idea of a dust sweeper, where you could batch together small amounts of crypto to be able to do a batch transaction, so you're not paying excessive gas fees just to capture $5 in token value. And they used us for their app as well. So really exciting to see some really top-notch projects. One of the other highlights for us was seeing one of the projects use our recently released Solana endpoint. So they basically built a MetaMask swap tool where using us to capture both the balances on the Ethereum side and the Solana side, you've got a pretty comprehensive tool that ties into MetaMask to be able to swap between both chains. It was really well done. So yeah, those were just some of the highlights. Well, we'll have a full blog write-up as we announced the ETH Denver winners, both from the in-person event that we just took part in, but there's also a virtual component, and that lasts for another month until end of March. And we've had over 25,000 in prizes that are being doled out for that. So really exciting to see. A couple other quick points to make. So Codelesscon, for those of you who aren't necessarily coders, but still want to be involved in hacking around in Web3, Codelesscon kicked off yesterday. There's still spots to register. We had Lai Bing and Shatnu from our team give a fantastic presentation this morning. So do check that out. And we also have a metaverse hackathon with ETH Global coming up, I believe in 2 weeks time here. So lots of exciting events. If this is your first time or you're thinking about getting involved in Web3, lots of great opportunities for you to do so.
Incredible. What was the biggest gripe with our community?
So a couple things. One was, I think there is this desire to be able to have a broader suite of API endpoints, sort of these custom endpoints. And I know, that's something we can probably talk to a little bit with our initiative with the Class C. And then the second was just around, a few different blockchains that we've partnered with and getting them indexed and supported with our API.
What's top on that list?
I would say, I think, Near was one that was quite vocal there. Harmony, probably another one. And I know these are all on our list to get done soon.
Amazing. Yeah, it's I think developers keep the feedback from developers keeps you real, because they have no filter. Either your API works and your API solves their problem, or it's just bad. Right. I think it's sometimes it's refreshing to get honest feedback. Okay, great. The next topic is governance. So what's happening on the governance side, Prateek?
Yep. So recently we just got an incoming proposal from Kronos chain, and that is something that is already up. So what I can do for everyone is I can share the link so that you can vote on the first preliminary stage voting, which basically happens on our forum itself. And once we go through that stage, we will be pushing it to the next stages in terms of making that proposal live, and then having votes with the CQT that you have in your wallet. So that's our next proposal. So the urge would be to essentially for everyone is essentially to have CQT so that you can vote on this particular proposal. And if you like re-indexing them, that is something that you can do as a yes. But yeah, the next 2 stages will be shared with everyone on our socials, on our channels soon, and that will be all live. But meanwhile, I'll just share the link to the proposal, the incoming proposal that we got from Kronos, and then yeah, that's about it.
What's what's incredible about this is that maybe 6 months ago, we had workshops teaching our community how to write these proposals, because indexing a blockchain is no easy feat, right? We have a lot of experience on the team. We've been doing this for years, but getting the community to communicate that was quite the task. And it's amazing to see how someone proposed something without any kind of solicitation, right? They wrote it themselves. And this is a top-notch proposal to index the Kronos chain, which is the crypto.com chain, right? So crypto.com recently bought the Staples rights, I think. So they're investing heavily in their brand. So it is going to matter a lot. So it's incredible to see. Like, it's not only growing the product and growing ourselves and the team and the network, but it's also growing the community and understanding the problem that we're trying to solve. Incredible. Okay, so the last point before we move on to Q&A. Adrian, we've had some updates on the market cap information. We even wrote a blog post about it. So a quick recap of what's happening there with the supply and the next upcoming unlock would be beneficial for our community.
Sure. At the last community call, we mentioned that we'd write a blog post explaining the increase in circulating supply observed on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. And so that blog post is published, and the explanation is there. Feel free to ask questions here if anyone in the audience has additional questions, or reach out to me directly. The unlocks, there's none this month except for the regular coin list. There will be one in March, of course, not as big as the December one, but that will be the next significant one towards the end of March, like around March 20th, 21st.
Amazing. And is that the last unlock on the private sale?
It is not the last. There are unlocks that persist, but each one gets less and less, and we are through the bulk of it, you could say.
Amazing. Okay, that's great to hear. So before we go on to Q&A, let's give some room to our esteemed guest, Daniel. So Daniel joins us from Stakefish, which is one of the top providers in the space. And so I've known Daniel for a couple of years. He, in fact, interviewed at Covalent when we were really, really small. I think we were like 4 or 5 people, and very impressive interview. Our bad luck that we were not had a chance to work together. But since then, we've collaborated on a couple of projects, especially with the ETH2 validator set. So Daniel not only works with Stakefish, which is one of the top staking providers, but he does a lot of other projects outside to further the space. And that is something, definitely needs to be mentioned, because it's important that people stick true to their values. So Daniel, I would love to have a few words from you. You've known Covalent for years now. Why are you excited about Covalent, the product, the network, the API, your role as part of the team at Stakefish? A few words here would be amazing.
Yeah, thanks for that kind introduction. Good to see you again, Ganesh. It really cool to see you guys have grown this quickly and this fast, and being so dominant with these tools that I think the crypto ecosystem really needs. So quickly, I'll introduce. So I had the protocols team at Stakefish, and in addition to onboarding the chains that we have, we also engage in governance, which I think is going to be a really exciting opportunity for us to be able to directly communicate with developers through Covalent, especially in the validator ecosystem tooling front. And yeah, in addition to what we've been seeing, right, because we're currently on POW for Ethereum, I also lead special projects at F2 Pool, a POW mining pool. Same founder, 2 jobs, but I get paid once, kind of thing. But yeah, it's exciting. I think there's a lot of really interesting things that we can start to explore, especially from the indexing front and data providing front. particularly because as we're really familiar with a lot of app level tooling and app level projects, but then there's also this sort of connection that we can have from the L1, the layer ones of the chains themselves that Covalent has been onboarding, and from how the validators ourselves, we are operating the infrastructure, and also that L1 governance to kind of see the direction these developers take, because that's like your bread and butter for being able to have a healthy and thriving chain. And also what I'm really excited about with Covalent is just the fact that there is this opportunity with like a really great team to be pushing forward these very necessary tools that can bring better light and transparency into the data itself, and then being able to pull that data, and obviously like this decentralized way with involving the stakeholders, both from the infrastructure service providers like ourselves as validators, as well as right the capital providers like funds, and also the developer teams, and also the projects. I think a good example, there's some other validators that also provide like dev studio access. I think like Figment with their products, as well as the tooling that we also at Stakefish have provided. Something that I think is really interesting when I was kind of listening into some of these updates is the fact that this connection that developers can have closer to the data layer, is that you have like these communities, right? I think you can say the same, similar like with what you have with like the shared backgrounds, but validators, I think in particular, and perhaps we don't see this as often right now, need to be able to cultivate better communities with their stakers / delegators. And that staker / delegator community that validators do cultivate are also going to be, categorized into developers and just retail investors. And when they're there, and when there is this developer and kind of delegator communication, it also requires us as validators, especially if we want them to pay attention to the type of governance that we're hosting or have been delegated to, the ways that we do it. And so, for example, Stakefish, we've been building our metaverse headquarters and experiences on Sandbox as an example. And like, why in the world is Stakefish developing like this metaverse headquarters? Maybe it doesn't make sense, maybe it does. And I think it does, because if people, especially if you're trying to cut signal through a lot of this noise, especially if crypto Twitter is like one of the main mediums of communication, you have to like meet people where they are. And even indirectly, if they are getting exposed to this type of information that needs to be important for them to make decisions, especially with regards to governance, if you really want this governance to work, right, you have to enable these experiences, right? Which I think is really cool, right? Being able to even meet people where they are at these conferences like you guys have done, and as well as like understand what like the current trends like play to earn and gaming, and even like indexing Ronin, right, for Axie, and on and on. Because I think from the experiences that we've had with as L1, like these sort of protocol politicians that we have to act in when we are delegated tokens to vote on these things, right? You want people to vote and be informed enough to vote, right? That's how the governance and the token distribution should work. And in particular, I think what was really encouraging to hear is that, right, when you had mentioned someone had proposed in the forum specifically around Chronos, there's like a nice, well-formed proposal, right? There's like these, those are like the type of standards and frameworks that are really important in ensuring that governance is done appropriately. Because, not to be so doom and gloom, but there is definitely a lot of work that POS governance has to deal with. And so I think as infrastructure service providers have been doing a lot of this, I think we're really excited to also provide advisory and be able to both participate right, through supporting Covalent, and also we're excited to be able to engage with the developer communities on the different chains that we both operate, as well as are operating through Covalent. And I think that's something that we can kind of walk together with.
Amazing. Thank you, Daniel. So I'm going to put you on the spot here and ask you on recorded video, what is the biggest mistake networks make when they launch?
Okay, I think it's communication, and I think it's like a double-edged sword. The networks, when they do launch, obviously have to, with the large number of both validators and infrastructure service providers or infrastructure partners that they have to make it so that there's good lead time, and an understanding that validators have also, right? It's not just validators are just running one chain or one product. Communication and making that easy, and understanding how to cut through signal. I'll give you an example. So there's some chains that whenever it halts or slows down, we get like pings everywhere, like Telegram groups, Discord, Twitter DMs, email threads, discourse forum posts, like even texts if we have like, they have our numbers, which is like, it's way too much. And that is, it's also a fault of how a lot of communication happens between entities in crypto, right? We all used to use Telegram, right? Back in the 2017 days. That's a mess. Now we have Discord, which can give categorization. But then, right, if you're a validator operating 30 plus chains, you're also looking at 30 plus Discord servers. And right, it is a means of like standardization across how communication should be done, right? We've even been exploring like pager systems, right? Like we have to have our infrastructure engineers just like have a pager that's just like always like looking at what's going on in the middle of the night. Thankfully, Stakefish is very geographically distributed, and we have complete coverage across the planet. But yeah, I think the communication and making sure that there's a very clear lead time, understanding of like how maybe busy some of the validators can be, and accounting for that, because obviously there, inevitably there's subjectiveness to prioritization that a validator might have for a particular chain or a project, right? Some projects, like maybe it's like Stakefish, values highly like the relationship that we have Covalent, right? Just through my experience. And then some validators might not have a high priority for other chains. So I think factoring that in, right? It is important, and making very clear, standardized way of communicating important information. And just to get a little bit deeper into that, right? Even like the types of messages that do get communicated when chains are launching, and also when chains are being operated, is that if there's like even standard way of like how some of these messages are presented to us, it also allows us to even implement our own sort of like monitoring services, where there is like, if there's some networks have like different code colors for the different types of alerts that they need to communicate with us. And then that's easy for us to understand and categorize internally of like, okay, this is priority, this is high priority, this is low priority. And that can be triaged internally from when the protocols team does communicate with our infrastructure team. And that also gives us a lot of ability to scrape too, right? There's some networks that the only way they communicate with us is through like a blog post on their website. And those blog posts don't even have subscription methods, right? And so like we have to like literally manually go to all those, or implement like some backend scraper that just like has like this headless script that just like reads all that. And that is, not as efficient for us, and gives us a hard time. And right, if we are like managing a lot of different things, it becomes difficult. So I think just maybe having that in mind when communicating through communication, and making it easy, right? Not treat us like children, but like, make it easy for us there to be it's like providing us like raw data that is also categorized and nicely packaged, but also giving us opportunity to like use that raw data in our own triage systems, I think would be helpful and important. So.
Amazing insight. I actually think there's an opportunity for a program like CVE which are the publicly disclosed security holds for the blockchain ecosystem, because there are hundreds of validators across hundreds of chains, and it's just so difficult to keep up with all of this. It's almost like someone needs to establish a data standard and put this all on chain, and Covalent hopefully will be that conduit to pulling it all out. And then someone is able to simplify that message and standardize the reporting, which is what the value of the CVE program is, because every engineering team communicates in engineering parlance, and someone who runs a business doesn't necessarily understand what the impact is and what the risk is. So I think hope to see tools like that in the future. Amazing. Okay, thank you, Daniel, for that comprehensive introduction to the staking program and the challenges. If there's nothing else, let's open up the floor to questions.
There were a couple of questions. I think Niall and Nadi have answered those. There's one more question from Daniel. When someone makes a governance proposal on Covalent Forum, what does he need to make it voted on Snapshot? Is it done in an arbitrary way, or by Covalent, or by anyone with enough votes to on the governance forum can make it? Okay, so I can take that. I mean, so we have our governance process pretty much laid out, and the question actually, I mean, there is an answer to each part of the question that you've asked, Daniel. So basically, the first step of the governance process is essentially having someone, I mean, anyone can essentially write a proposal on our forum. That's the first step. Second step is once we have, let's say, that proposal given enough time, let's say anywhere between 2 to 3 days, or having, let's say, number of votes, we then take a decision of taking that to Discord to kind of get, let's say, further input from the community who's already kind of there. So like, because we don't have the same community on our forum compared to our Discord. So that's that. We just want to make sure of the community that there is something like, I mean, the vote is kind of captured properly. And then once we have like enough votes there, again, after spending maybe a day or two, we take that, like Covalent takes it. I mean, at this point, only Covalent can take this vote or proposal to Snapshot. I mean, we will be provisioning a proposer to kind of come up with their own proposition, whatever rights in the future. But for now, for the first few initial proposals, it will be Covalent who will be taking the vote to Snapshot. And then like once it's done, we have like a set process for that, as well as to how many votes are required, what is the minimum that is needed. All of that is mentioned in our governance process. I'll link it to this answer itself. But yeah, that's how we kind of manage it.
Some of the networks out there do a temperature check. Do we do a temperature check before a proposal?
Yeah, the two-stage process, three-stage actually process does have the proposal itself going from our forum to Discord is actually temperature check, and then Snapshot. Okay. And then for most governance processes that I've seen in this space, again, depending on how technical your governance structure is, Snapshot acts as a temperature check, and then there is a final governance structure that goes in. I mean, depending on what, so for example, Compound follows something called as governance Bravo, and then Uniswap has its own kind of a way of doing things. So yeah, I mean, there are different ways. For now, we have like governance 1.0 at Covalent, which we have kind of laid out pretty much. But yeah, that might change in the future as we have more people, staking providers and other folks, protocol politicians and so on in the future. Yeah.
Amazing. Great. Okay, so before we wrap up, what to look forward to for next month? There's a big event coming up, which is the Avalanche Summit in Barcelona. So there's a bunch of us who are going out there. Avalanche is one of our key partners, and it's very exciting to see how that whole ecosystem is evolving with the subnets. And very bullish on that ecosystem, just like how we are bullish on other ecosystems. So that's coming up. We will be indexing more chains. That's always a thing, never going to stop. And if you watch our GitHub, if you watch the documentation sites, you will know what's coming out next. There's at least, to my knowledge, 4 or 5 chains that are going to be ready in the next couple of weeks. So pretty exciting for that, because there'll be a hackathon that follows that. There'll be like a press event. There'll be a lot of excitement, because I think it's like going to a new country for the first time and learning the language or tasting the food. Remember, like if you go to Japan and eat sushi for the first time, for example, right? So it's a pretty momentous thing. And then of course the API itself, making it more robust, showcasing more use cases, empowering devs to build like richer, deeper, more meaningful apps, all kinds of things. So there's the full force is going out there. So this is what to look forward to for the next couple of weeks. Thank you all. I will see you next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Daniel.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.